Alrighty, if you are hearing me, then jump in, share this live YouTube video, Preacher Girl YouTube video. I'm gonna wait for a few of you to jump in. Hi, Nan. Good to see you again from 5 minutes ago when you were in my office. I'm gonna wait for the rest of our friends to jump in. While we wait, I'm gonna log into my computer right here so I can see your comments and respond to you in real time, because today we're gonna do it a little bit different. Hi Kadisha, hi Clint, Kelly, Steven, Carlene, Kayla. Wow, you heard that repetitiveness that was happening there. Okay, today is gonna be super long, but it's gonna be super important because I don't want to waste your time and I don't want you to get motivated and get started in the next best phase of your life. And like I was saying, as more of you come in, actually now if you come and log me in here on YouTube. So as more of you come in, please say hello. Good to see you too. Hi Ruthie. Hi Donna. I hope you guys had an enjoyable weekend. And while I was in Florida this weekend, someone came up to me. She's probably watching right now. I don't know. But someone came up to me and said, this was the question she asked. She said, Pastor Shara, I have an issue. She had just recently suffered a great life trauma. And she said, I don't know what to do with my life because I put my life on hold, or her exact words weren't I put my life on hold, but she said, I've been raising my daughter for the last decade and a half, for the last few years. And so I put my career on hold and I put an outside job. She said, I quit my job to take care of her. And she said, now that I am, she's grown and I can go back into the workforce, or I can do something with my life. I want to do ministry, but I don't know where I fit in and I don't know what I should do. So this is how today's Q&A is going to work. I'm going to speak to you guys, whoever is stuck in this situation right now yourself, but I want you to comment and I want you to say whether you feel this way as well, or if you've had similar challenges in your journey. Do you feel like you're not doing enough for the kingdom of God, or for your life goals or whatever? And then I'm going to give you my best tips about how I stay motivated, how I always, there are those days, of course, when I want to quit and I want to feel like I feel like if maybe I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing, I'm outside of my lane or something like that. Everybody has those days, but I don't stay there. And I wanted to talk to those of you who might feel stuck there. And I know I've done podcasts before, and we'll reference some of them when we eventually post this up on stuckness and how to get unstuck and things like that. But today I really want to talk to you where you are. So let me say hi to a few more of you, and then we'll start our chat, okay? So I see Debrizo6. I see Kelly, Prudence, Wayo, Christelle, Carol, Anna, Ravina, Lisa, Rachel, Parvati, and Shiki. So welcome to all of you. Please share this if you haven't shared it yet. I know I ask, and it's not so I get tons of viewers. It's so that I get to chat with you live, and this does not happen often. So there are two reasons why this is a live podcast and not a pre-recorded podcast. One is because we didn't get a lot of time for editing and for video. So this weekend I got to spend some time with my family in Florida. And I could have taken the time to record a podcast with my brothers, and it would have been great and things like that. But I just really wanted to just enjoy their company and allow Pastor Jay to do what he was doing in the crusade and stuff like that. So there really was no time. I spent most of the time, truth be told, with my 5-year-old nephew, Buggy. He and I just hung out the whole time, and it was the best. And that's just how I wanted to spend it. So, and also this weekend, yesterday, Memorial Day, I spent some time with my life group. We went fishing and ate great food and had a good time at Sister Donna's. So that was really fun as well. Okay. So I see, let me look at your comments for a second. I see Carlene. Thank you for your comment, Carlene. Carlene said, yes, I feel this way. Lisa, I feel the same. And thank you for sharing, Clint and Rachel. Good morning, June. So good to see you. Okay, so the first thing I want to say, as you, and please, I just want to reiterate, do comment. If you're watching this on a replay, comment anyway. We have people that go back. I go back sometimes and look at the comments so that I can answer the questions even afterwards. Okay, so you know, it's a really strange thing for me when people begin conversations with me. I know you're super busy, but, and truth be told, I am super busy. But that does not exclude me from taking care of the people that I care about. And when it's reciprocated and they care about me, it's even easier to take care of them. So please understand that you can reach out to me, and I may not have time to answer every comment and every question, but I urgently take care of people that God has put in my care. So that said, oh look, I'm drinking my 8 greens. I hope you guys are drinking yours. I know a couple of you ordered it. I have it. It's in, and I have it ready for you. And for those of you who ordered when we did our PG podcast on the fitness, you ordered it from our live show, and you actually ordered it at a lesser price than you'll get it online. But if I can recommend it again, I do. It's good. It's all 8 servings of vegetables you need for the day right here, and it's yummy. Well, to me, it's yummy. Okay. So the first thing I want to tell you, Clint says this has always been my opening line. I know. And I'm not attacking you or anyone, but a lot of people do approach me that way. Okay, so let us talk about if you're stuck right now, if you feel like you're in a place in your life where you're not making impact, you're not making a difference, that your time is running out, or you are much older than you were the last time you did this self-check, and you feel like you've accomplished nothing, or that you're going nowhere. Before I even tell you how to get out of that place, and I remember in a past podcast showing you wheels just spinning in mud and feeling very stuck. And this, by the way, is not about people who are lazy. This is not about that. Because really, you need deliverance from laziness if that is your issue. If you have to sleep your life away, if you don't want to work, if you don't want to be involved with people, if you just want to, live this life at your own pace, helping no one, doing nothing, that's you and God. This is about those of you who just don't know where to begin. It's not that you don't have ideas, you have too many ideas. It's not that you won't try, it's that you always fail when you try, or you feel like you always fail. It's not like you're not going to put all your heart into it. It's just that you don't know what to put your heart into. Okay. So those are the ones of you that I'm talking to today, because you know what? You're like me. You're just like me. And you're like most people who are entrepreneurial, who are motivated, who want to make a difference, who want to really live and feel like your life matters. Now, before I give you my first tip, or I don't want to call it a tip, it really is a life change. And before I tell you how I do this, I do want to tell you that knowing why you're doing this is very important. And this is not a kitschy phrase. This is not a Simon Sinek spin-off. This is nothing like that. This is not about know your why, like the motivational speakers and coaches will be telling you left, right, and center. No, this is not that. I know how to do that, and this is not that. This is understanding if what you're trying to accomplish is for now or for tomorrow. Now, by that I mean, are you trying to leave a legacy, or you're trying to live life to the fullest? They're not the same thing. Now, coincidentally, sometimes when you live life to the fullest, you end up leaving a legacy. That's what my godmother did. She did not live her life thinking, when I'm gone, I want somebody to think about me. She didn't do things for others hoping that when she was gone, somebody would say, while she was alive, she impacted me that way. I knew her, and that's not the way she lived her life. She just lived full. She lived so full. She never went skydiving. She never went skiing. She never climbed the Rocky Mountains. I don't think she saw the Grand Canyon. She never went to Europe. She never did any of the things. She never had children. She never got married and walked down the aisle. She never did any of the things that we think fills up our lives. She never graduated with a bachelor's degree. She never wrote a book and was published. She never did any of the things that people think define success. She never made $1 million. She never had a 2-story home in the Hamptons or anywhere nice. But yet I keep saying she lived life to the fullest. If you asked her, and I did it every time I got a chance to sit and talk with her, if there was anything you would do differently in your life, if you could look back, and her answer was always the same. She said, I didn't have time to do differently because I did everything I could. And I don't ever remember her speaking in regret about missing days or missing months of her life or wasting it, I should say better. She never complained about having wasted seasons, like we do. And it's because she knew why she was alive. She had one purpose in her mind, and that was she was put on the earth to tell somebody Jesus saves. That's it. And every day she did that was a day well spent. And so she had no interest in leaving a legacy. People who have children, you think a lot about who's going to take care of you when you're old, and will your kids be there, and your grandchildren, and will you have friends to take care of them? And you think that after you're dead and gone, you want your children have memories of you, and your grandchildren to say, I loved my grandfather. And so many people suffer when they lose their parents because they're like, my children will never know their grandparents and things like that. And if that is important to you, if being remembered when you're dead or when you moved on, should the Lord tarry, is a big deal to you, then that's what you work towards. Personally, in my life, that's not a big deal to me. I really don't care if anybody remembers me when I'm gone. And I serve a lot of people, and a lot of people call me family. But what matters to me is now, today, right? As far as human beings are concerned. And my legacy on earth is not and has never really been one of those things that inspire me to move on. Now, my legacy in heaven has always been a big deal to me. I want to make sure that when I get there, eternity knows me, that heaven is aware, that God looks at me and says, I know you. And you know me, right? So, but I'm not saying wanting a legacy is a bad thing. I'm just saying you've got to know which one is most important. And then the things you do with your life must line up with that end. All right, let me read some of your comments before we go on again. Rachel said, I feel like I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Kayla said, Pastor, do you think social media plays a part with those kinds of feelings? Let me address Kayla first. I think that it plays a part in a certain generation because those feelings arise, and you know it. It's diagnosable. Do you know that in 6 countries, they've removed the like button from Instagram? I don't know if you're aware. Yeah, Google it when this podcast is done. In about 6 countries, they no longer have the like button on Instagram. And the reason is that it has scientifically been proven that the like button is causing more depression, more anxiety, more FOMO, which is apparently now a diagnosable condition, more self-loathing, more mental disorders than all of the other things combined in history. So more people want to commit suicide over not getting likes. More people go into deep depressions over not getting likes than people did when the Great Depression hit in the 30s. Isn't that crazy? So yes, Kayla, I think that when you spend your time browsing TikTok and browsing Instagram and browsing Facebook, and you get lost in there for 40 minutes watching people's bodies, and you're not lusting, but you're like, wow, she's got a flat tummy. Wow, her butt is big. Wow, he's got that car. Wow, he makes $1 million. Wow, he's got 150 million likes. They found that when you put up a picture, something in you anticipates a like button being hit. You always drop down to see how many likes you have. Whether you admit that or not is between you and God, right? So some countries have actually taken measures to prevent that from happening. So yes, Kayla, I think so. Prudence says, I feel that at times during my child-rearing years. So I want to address the moms for an instance. Let's talk about you. And many of you who are listening to me and are mothers, you left the workplace to go home and take care of your children and to bring them up. And now maybe they're older, some of you, and you have a chance, you have all this time. Or maybe, you feel like if those years are lost to you. And so that's what this young lady was telling me. And not necessarily that the years were lost, but now what do I do? Now what impact I'm making? You see, your importance was wrapped up in those children. And now that they don't need you as much, they can feed themselves, clothe themselves, and if they got kicked out of the house, they could probably find a job. And so necessary anymore. It's very normal to begin to have feelings of inadequacy or feelings of stuckness, feelings of what is my value to the earth and to people and to society anymore. Because one of the most intrinsic and basic human needs, besides the need to be loved, is the need to be valued. And when people feel like they're not valued or invaluable, then they start going into anxious and depressive thoughts. So how would I want you to deal with that? I'm just focusing on you for a few seconds, and you got to listen to me. And I'm going to tell you what the Spirit of the Lord spoke to me and what scientists also and psychologists have discovered, and are now trying to teach people in a slower way than the Bible taught it in a really, really fast way, okay? How do you deal with that? First of all, I got to tell you, point blank, it wasn't failure. It wasn't laziness. It wasn't negligence. It wasn't any of those things. It wasn't a standstill. You didn't give up your career to raise your child. You didn't give up your life to do. I heard one sweet person say the other day that, my mom put her life on hold to take care of me. And I want to tell you, if you feel that way about your mother, or if you are a mother that feels like your life was put on hold when you took care of your children, you're looking at it the very most incorrect and wrong way. Because a life taking care of your children was never on hold. It wasn't a pause. It wasn't a break. The people who chose to stay and work while taking care of their children, they didn't do better. They didn't do worse. They just choose a different life path. That wasn't a hiatus. That was life. That was the best life. That was your life. That was time that you used and invested. I heard the woman who told me this, was definitely not complaining. She was looking to see where in the kingdom she could fit in now. And as she was saying this, I looked around and I saw her daughter. Beautiful, amazing young lady in the middle of ministry, just doing what God had called her to do and loving it, so full of life and energy. And my first thought was, you succeeded. You succeeded in doing what many, many, many people didn't do, raising a woman of God. What an honor. What a privilege to raise somebody like that and to have invested your life in making sure that someone else became this thing. Now, I need you to know that, because this whole put your life on hold is the reason why abortion exists today. Because nobody wants to put their lives on hold. It's very inconvenient to put what I want. That it's also the reason why women come out of childbearing years feeling unaccomplished. It is, and this is not me trying to placate you. I can't, because I have no children. I did not do that. So this is not me bigging up us moms out there. No, this is me telling you that it was the noblest of things. Nothing you have created, no money you could have earned can compare to bringing a human into the earth that represents Christ well. And you did that. So first of all, it's a feminist misconception. You need to understand it for that, and to realize that that portion of your life was well invested. It's time to move on to the next one, right? It's time to move on. There's no need for anybody to badmouth you when you think like that. You know why? Because you're doing it to yourself. You're telling yourself, you know, I could have done so much in that time. And God says, no, 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 you did so much in that time. You can't go back and change those things anyway. So you put that in the box of a life well lived, a season accomplished. For everything under heaven, there is a purpose, and there is a time, and there is a season, and you live that season well. Let me tell you something. Even if your children grew up to be ungrateful, Nimakaram, that's the word I used to hear old people say all the time. If they grew up to be non believing, ungrateful children to you, selfish, stingy, and lazy, unkind, uncouth, no manners, lewd, and even if they grew up to be human beings that you don't know how it happened, even in that instance, your life wasn't, those seasons wasn't wasted. They were not wasted seasons. And so I need you to just change that self-talk from the get-go. Change it, right? Because I know really great people that have raised really questionable children. And I know really questionable people that have raised really amazing children. So if you're a woman of God who is in that position right now, I need you to put a big check. A big check. It's a well done check on the section of your life where you committed it to rearing your children in the admonition of the Lord, to raising your children with honesty and integrity. You did great. You did a great job. Okay? All right, let me see if I see any more comments. Ohio. I chose to stay home and raise my children. They will always be my greatest accomplishments. For the past year, I've been doubting and struggling. This is the Breeze 06. I'm not sure who you are, if I know you, but for the past year, I've been doubting and struggling with going back to school to switch careers, and it's not because I'm good at science. I'm not, again, so it's a comment. Okay, let me see if I can see any more. Lois said, I literally had that discussion with Raul this morning. Avery said, I'm 21, graduated with my bachelor's, and I feel the most unsuccessful. I'm glad you guys are being so very transparent and honest with this. Because when I mentioned my godmother earlier, did you hear me say that she never got a degree? She graduated from Bible school, but she never had an academic type of degree. She never had a child. She never had any of the things that we're measuring good success by. She never had a business. She never had $1 million. None of those things. She didn't even have a car. Yet she slipped out of this earth knowing, feeling fully well accomplished, knowing that not only had she done what God called her to do, but she lived her life. She lived her life. People who are addicted to, you have to go on a vacation, or you have to be validated by other people, or you have to, those people will never, no matter what you achieve, feel successful. There are billionaires who feel very unsuccessful. A bachelor's degree is not going to make you feel successful. Maybe for a minute, maybe for a few days, you'll feel accomplished. But I promise you, those things wear off. And so you have to, you act like an adrenaline junkie. So you have to keep pursuing another degree, or you have to keep, going after something. The worst thing that can happen to a person who's after something is that they can get it. You know that? Every single person will tell you that. If you are trying to achieve something, the day you get it, the feeling that you feel when that medal hangs around your neck is so fleeting, and it's so like underwhelming and anticlimactic that some people go into deep bouts of depression, right? Because it is the chase. Like Miley Cyrus, and I never quote Miley Cyrus, says it's the climb that makes the journey worth it. It's not getting there and sticking the flag. It's the climb, And so if we look at life in a way that, what else do I need to achieve to feel better, to feel accomplished, to feel worthy and feel validated, then you will never feel those things. And I wish that somebody had taught me this when I was in my 20s, because I pursued things that way, you know. And I've gotten to, I thought, if I could preach on that stage, or if I could make that amount of money, or if I could wear this, do this, go here. I'll never forget the feeling when I first saw the Eiffel Tower, right? When I first stood there and looked at it, I was like, is that all? Because I'd put that on my bucket list. I'd made that one of those things I want to do in my life. Is I'm gonna go. It's beautiful, especially when it's sparkly and lit up. Thank God it's sparkled and lit up, or else I would have been like, huh? Because it's not as big as I thought it was, or any of those things. And I'm sorry if you love it and are still like, wow, but and I do too. I love being there. It's just it was not all that. I sat on the shores of Hawaii, breathtaking. I surfed in Hawaii, and was overwhelmed by the beauty and the majesty of God. But even it wasn't the kind of thing that I said, well, Lord, now may your servant depart in peace, because my life is fulfilled. So I've gotten to see some of the most beautiful things on earth, and graced some stages and gotten some academic accolades, and made every dean's list and every school I've ever been, and all of that. But they're things, So I just wanted to. The reason why I'm saying that, though, is that the chase of temporal things, the chase of milestones and goals and things like that are important. They give you purpose, but what they don't give you is fulfillment, right? So, Pastor Shar, what do I do? Where do I minister? Where do I fit in? It's not even a song, but I just want to sing it to you with a little violin right now if you're there, because I know what it feels like, to be in a church and maybe wonder, is there anything for me to do here? Is there any impact I can make? And let me tell you something, the pressure is real. As a pastor, the pressure is real for me when people sit there and say, well, what do I do? And I know I can't tell you, sweep the floors, right? Because that's not going to give you what you think you're looking for, even though I know it will give you what you need. I can't tell you volunteer. I can't tell you, go clean the toilets. Volunteer to do that every single day without complaining and telling anybody. And watch how it flips your life over, So, let's see. Nadia, it was pounded into me as a kid that I have to have a degree. I got it, and then I have no use for it. I hear that story all the time, all the time. How do you feel with feeling stagnant? How do you deal with feeling stagnant and restless, especially being home during the lockdown? Trinidad struggles. Aria I did a podcast on this a while back, because COVID really was an opportunity that God gave us, and I told you guys that God leveled the playing field. He brought us all down. It wasn't just you locked down, the whole country locked down. So you have as much opportunity as everybody else in this season of your life. What you do with that is going to make the difference about how you guys emerge from this. And so I feel like if now is the time where I don't want to take forever. So I'm going to tell you how I stay motivated. One is I make sure my self-talk is good talk. I make sure, because I have learned that I cannot depend on any human to give me a validation or affirmation or any of those things in order to make me feel okay. And the day I start doing that and I become like that, it might make me feel super awesome and super duper nice for like 10 minutes, but nobody knows the truth of me like me. Nobody knows what makes me happy and what is really the truth. But if every time you speak to yourself, it's in a derogative manner, it's in all the failures and all the things that you did wrong and your self-condemnation and I'm not saying to forgive your sin, that's not your job. God forgives your sin. This is not about morality. This is about you as a woman, as a man, as a person. right? Your self-talk is what your mind is going to believe about you. And so if you don't know how to be kind to yourself, there is no way that you're going to be kind to other people. And so when I see people who are rude and unkind and have no manners and don't are just not nice, you know what I think to myself? You must hate you. You must really hate you. Because if you don't, even know how to be kind to this daughter of God, how on earth are you going to express kindness to other daughters of God? Right? And I know, don't tell me self-love is a great love, because I'm going to have to publicly rebuke you right now, because that's not true. That song that Whitney Houston sang, the greatest love of all is loving yourself, it's garbage. That's not true. It's not the greatest love of all. The greatest love of all is the love of God for us and then us for others. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, your mind, and then love your neighbor as yourself. That is love. And this is love, in that while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. Loving them that don't love you, that's the greatest love of all. Right? But even with that said and known, loving yourself is also important, because unless you love yourself, you cannot love your neighbor. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. So change your dialogue, change your monologues, change what you say to you. Some of you won't even talk to yourself. You know why? Because you're scared of what you'll say. You're scared to really face the truth about who you are. And the truth about who you are is so important. So Ariel, and those of you who feel like her, you're stuck, you're not working, you're not blah, 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 you're not making any advances in ministry, then you sit down with a piece of paper and, really, I don't want you to write the positive things about you. I'm sure you could come up with quite a few, but write down the negative talk that you've been giving you, right? You need help? Why are you so fat? Right? I'm not going to preach to you right now and tell you, you got to line your words up with what God says about you. Don't you already know that? I mean, really. And when you say you're fearfully and wonderfully made, aren't you telling yourself you're lying? Most of you. So please do what I'm asking you to do. It might seem futile to you, but if you want out, this is how you get out. I literally write to myself the things that I tell myself. Clint, really, you have a telling yourself you're fat issue? You have deeper issues than that. Just kidding. Fabiola said, it's so much easier for me to be kind to others, but I'm so harsh on myself. Girl, we are all our own worst critics. We are all. And usually when we're unkind to people, it's because we see in them the things we can't stand in ourselves. Right? So I'm not asking you write down the good things about you or the nice things to say. I'm just write down your destructive self-talk. Write it down, put it down on a piece of paper. If you look at yourself and compare yourself to somebody else, write down what your mind thinks, even if your mouth doesn't say it. And those things, once you have it in front of your face, I want you to imagine saying those things to somebody that you actually love. Like saying it to your daughter, or looking at your best friend in their face and saying those very same things to them. And then see how that makes you feel to tell that person those things that you tell yourself. And if you will not do it to her, and if you will not do it to your baby, then tell yourself, I won't do that to me. Right? You got to see it. You got to see it. And sometimes it takes you looking at you as not just, this is me, I own me, but this is God's property. This me here, it's ultimately his. This is a vessel that I've borrowed. He lent me this. And I've got to know how to speak properly to it and treat it properly. The mind of it, the soul of it, the body of it, the spirit of it, all of it belongs to God. Okay? So that's the first thing I want you to do. Can we just get a little bit transparent for a minute? And if you dare, will you just tell me one of the destructive things that you tell yourself? I just bet you money, 10 cents, that we have it in common or somebody else has it in common. Clint says, while you write it, I want to read what he said. He says, when you've been told stuff or been prophesied to different things God is going to do in you and through you, how do you then deal with this feeling of stuckness if you're nowhere near that or seem? Clint, what a great question. I want to ask you one really valid question directed right at you right now. Look me in the eye, and as I'm going to ask you this, are you dead? And if the answer is no, then God's not done. Not one word that he has spoken by a true prophet of God is going to fall to the ground. You're like, well, what if they weren't true prophets? What if they were prophesying and not prophesying? Pastor, then the will of God is still going to be accomplished in your life. And I have this thing, this promise for you that all things are going to work together for your good. For I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord. They're plans for good and not, he said it so many times. If you are a child of God, if you are a believer in Christ Jesus, then these things are your assurance. Yeah, the old dirty devil does say the world will be better without you, right? And that sometimes, when you hear that, I thank you for sharing that. What a deep and cutting one that the enemy will have you. And sometimes you don't have to look in the mirror to say it. It's not a planned event. You know, you just have this feeling. Like it would be an easier place for people to live in if you weren't there just messing up the whole thing or just being your old low self or just annoying everybody. And you know what? That even if you don't say those words, that gets in your spirit like cobwebs. It is there attracting all the dust and the mites and the spiders that hang around in your subconscious. So the minute you start telling yourself, you're just a waste of human DNA. I know I'm taking it to a different level here, but that's how it begins. And then it eventually becomes something greater than that. And let's see if we see some more. You don't matter. You're not good enough. People do things better than you. Rebecca, Lisa still isn't comfortable enough with just saying the destructive self-talk without curing it. You're making no difference in the world. Why bother to start if you can never commit to finishing? They don't care about you. Wow, ladies, thank you so much. I'm probably going to mess things up because you have a history of messing things up. Or the prophecies don't align with who you know yourself to be. These are fire. These are good. These are honest and these are big. You're not smart enough. Man, thank you for adding all of those things. Girls, if you, or guys and girls, if you have heard those things in your spirit and blame the devil or blame yourself or whoever you're blaming, those are the kind of things you want to write down, right? You want to write it down on a piece of paper. And then Fabi, in your instance, I want you, and this is for you alone. You know, this is not a group event. This is you in your quiet time with God, and the time that you spend even in prayer. It doesn't have to be, no, it could just be, could just be this, and then giving this to God. But when you write it down, I want you to just picture in your mind, sitting Fiona down, which is Fabiola's daughter, and telling her, you know, you're not good enough. You know, and people might prophesy that, but your life is not that, so you ain't never gonna be that. You would never do that to her, not consciously. You never do that to your child. You'll never do that to someone that God put in your care to steward. And guess who he put in your care to steward first? You. You. Because he told you it is by the renewing of your mind. You know what that means? That means every day our mind needs to get turned over. Every day we begin from scratch with what God is doing in us. Every day his mercies are new. So we start with grace for ourselves and we start with grace for others, right? Christelle said the thing about the prophecies. I love the one that Nadia says, you don't have follow through anyway, so why bother to start? Satan is, and just not just Satan, he plants the seed and you do the talking. When he says to you, how many things have you tried that failed already? You know, aren't you tired of people thinking that you're not going to be able to do anything? You know, and those are things that you would, you'd never tell Malia that, Nadia. Stop trying. You can't do it. No. You would tell her it doesn't matter if you fell down a million times. Get in the chair. You tell her try. You know, over and over. You'd push her. Why? Because you know if she keeps trying, she'll do it. Even if she falls a million times before, right? Let's see some more. The past wrongs can never see you do the things you want to do in God. What you do is irrelevant and it doesn't matter. What you do is irrelevant, Monkey said. What you've done in the past made no difference and nothing you do ever will. That's Pastor Joe. The devil tries to bring up past mistakes. You remember that time? Do you remember that time? That's a Michael Jackson song. Um, I love, I hate reading them, but I love that you guys share them because I don't know how to respond. Well, Siri, you weren't made to respond to that. You don't know how to respond to that. Yeah. I heard them laughing outside when I said that. But all of those things, all of the things, and let me tell you, keep the list running. You know, put it in a place where you don't have to read it every day, but keep the list running and let your mind see them, get familiar with them so that you can shoot them down. Because the reason why we're writing them down is because if you don't identify it, you don't see it as negative self-talk. You just see it as reality. You see it as your truth. And let me tell you something, that's not your truth. That's the devil's stinking lie. So if you can see it, because I can look you in the face, every single one of you saying what you say right now and tell you there's so many things that you've succeeded at. You know, you've done things, Nadia, that I would never in a million years be able to successfully accomplish, including raising your daughter, including, you know, that's crazy to me. You know, day and night and night and day. It's a 24/7 endeavor for you. Done your degree, moved here, despite all your odds and all the oppositions. And Christelle, it's so easy to see the calling in your life and understand that absolutely any prophecy somebody spoke over your life is completely possible. I'm talking, if they told you you were going to be the president, I would believe it because I see that in who you are. You know, and Jody, you know, Pastor Joe saying the enemy saying, you know, what you done in the past doesn't matter. When fully and truly, I know that what she has done in the past mattered to this ministry and to lives changing, and it's she's still, you know, changing lives right here. So write it down, all of it, so you identify it. And the minute the enemy throws that crap at you, the minute he throws it at you, or your mind, your subconscious, your own evil conscience brings it up at you, just slap it down. It's like this. The reason why is because I don't know if any of you ever played what's the game by Galaga. Okay, it's an old Atari game, Pac-Man and Galaga. Okay, so there's this little spaceship, and then you shoot at this whole sort of moving enemy spaceships. Right. Well, the thing about this is apparently, and I saw this in the movie, there's a sequence. And if you learn the sequence of the way the ships go, you can beat the game, right? I'm not good at sequences. It's never been my thing. But I remember, like, okay, this ship is going to come from this way. The more I play that, the more I get familiar with that, the more I can avoid that ship. So imagine if every one of those little enemy ships was a negative self-talk. Maybe the first time it gets me, but the second time you're not getting me again. Okay, maybe 4 times you'll get me, but ultimately I know how to expect you. I know when you're gonna come. I know what direction you're gonna come from, and I know where to shoot you. I know how to shoot you down until my path is clear. So it's like that. When you see it coming, that same familiar old thing, you know that's not true. And like Donna said way earlier, and several of you said the same thing, God's word really gives you a rebuttal for that. So when he tells you, you know, you're not good enough, the scripture actually says that everything that you need to be who you are in Christ, he has already given you. It's already inside of you. Maybe it didn't come out yet, but it's already there. You say, Pastor, I don't believe it. It doesn't matter. If you don't believe the word, I know this sounds crazy. Just speak it anyway. Just say it. Just say it. It's still It still kills the enemy. It still kills his dart, because the word of God can never return void. You understand? Speak the truth of it. Speak the truth of it. And it's like the centurion who said, Lord, I believe, now help my unbelief. Right? That's good stuff right there. All right. Yeah, Amanda, there's a sequence. I'll send you the movie. I don't know the sequence, but once you learn the sequence, you shoot exact. And Pac-Man too. Yeah, I know. All right. So that's some of the practical things. That's the first thing I want you to do. Once you recognize it, when that negatives, you'll be like, Pastor Shara, do you do that? I absolutely do that. I promise. I do that. I have a running list, and once that starts coming up, I'll tell you a funny one. Okay, don't tell anybody. But my brothers, I promise you I'll be done in about 5 minutes. Okay. Oh gosh, these live ones. This is why I don't do live. It takes too long. My brothers used to make fun of my nose, right? And that's because there was nothing to make fun of me about. Okay, I don't know if that's why. But I think I grew into my nose, but my nose used to be really big. And well, that's what they told me. And so I used to spend a lot of time in the mirror trying to like suck in like this. And and if you have a body part you're self-conscious of, I know that you're pretty much the same way. And then one day I was like, oh wait, now this is a pretty cute nose I got here. I like it. It suits my face, because if it was pointier or wider, or I would not have looked the way I look. And you get it. And so it started to change my self-talk. And you know what happened? They still try to make fun of me, like Pastor Jay used to tell me. He said everybody has to pick their nose like this, but I have to pick my nose like this. And now I can laugh about that, because that is hilarious to me. That is so funny to me. And they laugh about it too, because I used to make fun of them about certain body parts, different things, but I wouldn't share that with you. So, but that's my truth. That's what I want you to know, that once you become familiar with that dark spot in your life, once you've explored that alleyway to the point that you realize, wait, bats don't live here. There are no bats here. The 57th time you go there, it doesn't hurt anymore. It doesn't scare you anymore. So when the devil is tired of telling you that you're fat, and instead you're like, man, I'm curvy. I got all the right curves in all the right places. He has to move on to the next best thing. You have to move on to the next best thing. Okay, so that's why I told you to write it down. Because quit it, stop. There are enough people hating on you for you to hate on yourself. All right. So that's the first thing, because if your mindset is not in the right place, trying to get into ministry and get into entrepreneurship and get into motivation is ridiculous. Because if you're depressed, you can't help nobody. You can't coach nobody if you're on, yourself in a depression. You can help, elevate anybody if you yourself are in a pit. You'll be pushing instead of pulling. Okay. So, now we have that out of the way. Once your mind is in the right place where you like you and you can like others, then if you hear nothing, hear this. If you are your reason, it's not going to work. If you are the reason why you're doing it, you see all this self-love talk and all this do you and all this self-care is better than any care. That's not true. I know people hate me for saying it. I don't care. It's not true. The most biblical, spiritual, actual, literal, factual way to be fulfilled in this world is to serve others. Hands down, it's not the best. It's actually just the only. Money can't do it. Trips can't do it. Adrenaline can't do it. All of those things are temporary. Serving other people, even if you serve them by providing a product that betters their life, that makes them smile. I'm not talking about serving like you have to be missionary Celia, or you have to be a preacher, or you have to give your life to church. It's not that. Just doing something that brings joy to the body of Christ, to the family of God. Jesus said it this way. So you love me, serve one another. Love. If you have a job to do it for love's sake. Do it because when I do this, people are served. Somebody is helped, elevated. Their mood changes, their smile comes on. Look, if you live a day where somebody smiled because you said something, like if none of you got anything from this, but one person at the end of this went to them, and told themselves, girl, you're okay. You're a good person. God really did a work on you, and you are incredibly wonderfully made. Then this would have been worth it. You understand? Then I go home thinking June 1st, 2021 was a good day. God did something great. But if it's always about me and I don't make no difference and I'm not understood and I'm not appreciated and I'm not blah 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 blah, you'll never ever feel real joy, real fulfillment, real peace, real love, any of the things that really cause human hearts to be fulfilled. I don't know how to teach this any clearer or broader or deeper than telling you, please hear it. You know why you feel like a loser? Because you're not serving anyone except you. Not with joy, anyway. Because serving with complaining, just stay home. Just don't do it. Right? I love you, but I gotta tell you. So you get unstuck. Okay, the last thing I know I said 5 minutes, one more, okay? Because you want to hear this. This is an old thing my godmother used to do, and many books have said it. She said, if you could do anything, if you could do anything, and you had all the money, all the time, all the everything in the world, what would you do? And it's just for conversation, right? We used to do that. But she opened up my mind just to think about things. And for me, it was never, see the Himalayas or climb Everest or any of those things, even though those might be great things to do. Do you have any of those things, stupid little things, that would have made you happy? Can you think about any of those things? Most likely not. Because you're so busy focusing on what other people have done that you haven't, that you've let yourself down and not allow yourself to have small successes. Let me give you an example. There's one thing I want to do, but my age and just my inability, and people will laugh at me, and people will say like, what you doing and who you trying to be, and I might hurt myself, that I really want to do, and I'm going to do it. Regardless that I turn 46 in a couple weeks. Do you want to know what it is? I want to cry because it's so dumb. Let's see if you know one, can you share it? If you have something like that oh my God, apparently some of you just hearing the pick my nose story because you're just not commenting on it. Okay, this might not be silly to you, but it's super silly to me. I want to learn to break dance. I want to hip hop dance, but I don't want to just like pop and lock, or do like raunchy dancing. No, I want to master the moonwalk and do one arm handstands, and I want to do some of the really, really awesome hip hop dancing. But I'm not gonna let any loser teach me. I already decided I'm gonna find myself a ridiculously awesome teacher, and do that, because I feel like if that's just something I've always liked. I like watching people dance, and especially if it's synchronized and it's two guys or two girls, a bunch of. I just love that, and that's one of the things on my bucket list. You would be amazed how shallow my bucket is. Anyway, so you guys are funny. I never wanted to rap but my nephew did that rap about preacher girls, but I pretty much try whatever, So, why did I tell you that? Because I wrote here, what would you do if you're $10 million richer, 10 years younger, if you're old like me, or 10 whatever, what was what would you do? And you might say, Pastor Sharo, that wouldn't serve nobody. Oh, it so would. You know, if I can hip hop, I'm preaching. And then all of a sudden, I'm just breaking something. Not my bones, but like a dance on the stage. I would think it would be so fun. And I'm promising you, if I learn to dance hip hop, I would teach hip hop to my girls. There's nothing in this planet that I've ever learned that I haven't taught somebody how to do it. So if you have one of those things, oh, Lois, you want to ride a motorcycle? What a really cool thing. I wanted to do that, so I learned to do that. And that was so fun. I learned to ride a motorcycle. I wanted to go surfing in Hawaii. I talk about it a lot. Look, I still talk about it, right? But and I'm not doing it again. It's not like a life pursuit. I don't want to become a professional surfer. I just wanted to try that, and so I did that. Now, why do I say, now these things have to stay small, and I need you to know that. This is not my life purpose. Breakdance is not my career goal, right? Those are small successes. Those are small joys that you reward yourself with, so that you know that you still have the ability to feel joy over something you've done, and you do. And you might have looked like an idiot, but you had a great time, and so Kaylee's like, then you can teach me. Lois, you definitely need to like, when I learned to drive a stick shift when I was in Trinidad, right? This was in my teen years. And so when I came up here and moved to New York, I realized nobody could drive a stick. Just very few guys could drive, but most girls couldn't drive a stick. One of our life groups was shift like a pro, and then I taught all my girls to drive a stick, and tons of the boys to drive a stick shift too, because for most Lamborghinis, the real ones, they're stick. And if you're gonna ever go drive a fancy sports car, you gotta know how to shift gears, right? So okay, Lloyd said I really want to sing like Whitney Houston. I said reachable goals, Lois. I want to sing like Whitney. It ain't happening. I want to learn to swim. Carlene, so doable. Let me tell you, that's one of the best ones. Do it, do it, do it. I can't have a life group now because COVID closed down all the YMCA's, but I mean, this is definitely one, ladies. Learn to swim. Nadia, deep down, I want to be a karate person. Oh my gosh, Nadia, sign up for a class. Everybody in your class is going to be like 4 years old. It would be so awesome. She wants to learn to swim too. Oh my gosh, Carlene, I would celebrate you through the whole. So don't, if you're with a professional, don't let your husband teach you to swim. Don't let your friend. Get real lessons. Get real teaching. I want to open my recording studio and help young aspiring gospel artists for free. Stephen, that's really, really cool. I like it. That's a great idea. That shouldn't be so difficult for you. You have a family with a background of music, so do it. Let's see who else. I love driving a stick. I really want to sing like Whitney. I want to go skydiving, ride a bike. Marlene, you want to ride a bike? You're so cute. Then you need to ride a bike. Get some training wheels. They have them for adults. That's how kids learn. That's how you learn. Get some training wheels, practice in the grass, then get some knee pads, and get yourself out there and learn to ride your bike. I want to learn classical and jazz style for piano. Then get some lessons. Do the lessons. Carlene said, I know an awesome breakdance teacher. Hook me up, Carlene. Wait, I'll be the judge of the awesome, though, because I don't know if we have the same idea of awesome breakdance. I'll show you the kind of style I want to learn. Adult training wheels. You see, look, Lois already crying. She crying over there when I said adult training wheels. They have them. You know why? Because you would be amazed how many grown-ups want to learn to ride bikes. And you know what? Half of them who laughing at us, they wish they could do it too. So girls, guys, take my advice. You want to get motivated? You want to get unstuck. Apart from making your list and changing your negative self-talk, apart from deciding what are the small things that you would do if you could do anything short term, give yourself 3 months. Don't give yourself 3 years for this. Give yourself 3 months and start doing something towards that today. Find your teacher, ask how much it is for lessons, tell them point blank, I didn't know nothing. Don't Usually when I ask people if they could swim, this is what I get. Kinda, sorta. I could swim underwater. I could save my life for about 5 minutes. I could, I think I could swim. Okay, if you can swim, you know, right? So if you can't just say yes, then you probably need lessons. Melissa said I can't ride a bike either. Okay, so girls, I'm gonna shut up now. And I'm never doing this. Just kidding. I'm not doing this for a long time because it takes too long. But decide which one thing are you gonna focus on in the short term. And then this is the kicker. When you do it, teach a brother, teach a sister, right? I find my joy and my fulfillment in being part of hope and in teaching people how to share their gifts, how to love one another, and taking people from eternal death into eternal life. That's what makes my life feel so full all the time. Get involved in ministry in your church, no matter what it looks like. Seriously. Compass windows always need cleaning. There's always a place for a broom and a mop. And those things really give you more satisfaction and peace of mind than delivering a sermon will ever give you. Find out what you want to do in the short term. Do something. Try to learn something fun. And listen to me, don't make it a meal. Don't make it a vacation. Don't make it as something you get that lasts for a minute. Make it something that you'll never forget because you keep doing it. Right? Does that make sense? Like, I can still ride a bike. I can still drive a stick shift. And it keeps coming up in my life, but it's something that I learned a long time ago that is still part of who I am today. Anyway, I love you so much. Please teach me how to play the guitar. Fabiola, we can make that happen. We can make that happen. That's another one of those things. Learning an instrument is a ridiculously great way to get unstuck, right? Whatever you do, do it as unto the Lord with all your might. I love you so much. Girls, think of some fantastic ideas. Let's share them with each other. And guys, do let us know what they are. The more ridiculous, the better. Because maybe the rest of us need some ideas too, right? I love you guys. Have a great Tuesday. If you're part of the Hope staff, I'll see you today at staff meeting at 5:30. You want to be there in person, trust me. Love you. Bye-bye.